1458am and DAB. Celebrating 9 glorious years of broadcasting excellence. This is Leica Radio.
From the Sky News Centre at 9. Almost a week after 2 powerful earthquakes hit Turkey and Syria, the security situation on the ground in Turkey is deteriorating. There are reports of clashes in some areas as people fight over dwindling food and water. In Syria, it's been difficult for rescuers to deliver aid because of years of civil war. Matthew Griffiths is the Chief Aid Coordinator for the United Nations.
We're ramping up the operation because obviously the needs in northwest Syria are huge, even before this earthquake. We're also looking for authorization from the Security Council to open up a couple of extra crossing points to maximise the volume of supplies we get through to the people of the northwest.
A US fighter jets shot down an unidentified object over Canada, the second incident in as many days. Canadian authorities say it was smaller than the Chinese balloon taken down off the coast of South Carolina a week ago. A report by a cross-party group of MPs says the BBC chair made significant errors of judgment by acting as a go-between for a loan for Boris Johnson. Richard Sharps apologised, saying he regrets not being more open. The brother of murdered James Bulger says he'll never forgive the toddler's killers on the 30th anniversary of his death. James was 2 years old when he was abducted from a shopping centre by 2 boys then known as John Venables and Robert Thompson. It's claimed 3 in 10 people who've met others online in the last year have been asked to give or lend them money. A survey also says more than half of those did so. And Harry Styles won all 4 Brits he was up for, including Artist of the Year. The event faced a backlash this year after that category only featured males. When collecting the award, Harry name-checked several female artists.
I'm really grateful for this, and I'm very aware of my privilege up here tonight. So this award is for Rena, Charlie, Florence, Mabel and Becky. Thank you so much.
And that's the latest. I'm Tanya Snow.
On hold to your bank. That lovely music. Waiting for a friend who's late.
Oh, where is he?
Queuing for the bathroom. Nightmare. Waiting. Who needs it? With SEAT, you don't have to. Selected SEAT SUVs are in stock and available now. Live bolder. Live better. SEAT SUVs.
Limited stock of SEAT Ateca and Arona vehicles.
Winner of Radio Station of the Year at the Asian Media Awards 2022.
Leica Radio, London.
Leica Radio weather.
Today's weather: misty and light winds. In London and surrounding areas, top temperature 10 centigrade. Sunset is at 5:10 p.m.
Yeah.
Leica Radio. Leica Radio.
Flight updates are brought to you by TravelUp.com. Flights, hotels and holidays.
Let's go for a flight update. All flights are as scheduled, but please check with your flight operators before heading to the airport.
Flight updates were brought to you by TravelUp.com. Lowest prices are guaranteed only when you book directly through TravelUp.com. Call 0207 580 5000. Talking Points with Keith Vaz. Celebrating diversity. Leica, London.
Leica Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the 147th edition of Talking Points on Leica Radio with me, Keith Vaz. Thank you, Priyanka, for a great show. Happy birthday this week to Sue Hunter and Priya Mendes. Let's now go round the world to get the top news stories. As you just heard on the 9 o'clock news, the situation in Turkey and Syria following the earthquake, where tens of thousands have died, is pretty horrendous. Without shelter, water, fuel or electricity, the World Health Organization fears that many survivors could yet lose their lives. Rescuers are continuing their painstaking work, but hopes are fading for the many still trapped under the rubble. We'll be hearing more about that later. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has met King Charles at Buckingham Palace after making a surprise visit to the United Kingdom. He thanked Rishi Sunak for providing tanks, but singled out Boris Johnson, who was Prime Minister when the invasion began. Hundreds of MPs and peers packed into Westminster Hall, which has seen the likes of Obama, the Queen Elizabeth II, the Pope and Nelson Mandela address them. He received a long and rapturous applause as he arrived and left. For the first time in history, Australia has blocked the creation of a coal mine under environmental laws. The government on Thursday rejected a proposal for a new mine about 10 kilometres, 6 miles from the Great Barrier Reef. The Environment Minister said the project posed an unacceptable risk to the World Heritage Area, which is already highly vulnerable. Who invented the bottle of water? Actually, it all began when the Romans devised a way of piping water from its source to places where it was needed. Bottled water dates back to the 17th century. The Holywell bottling plant in the UK was the first bottling plant in the world. It is widely believed that the selling of bottled water began in the plant in 1622. The practice soon spread to other areas. On the programme today, we're going over to Elstree in Hertfordshire to join Dr. Sourav Roy, a scientist, author, and the CEO of the Centre for Big Synergy, a civil society organisation of the UN Department of Social and Economic Affairs. From Elstree, we're going off to Bloomsbury in central London to talk to Enes Güzel, the president of the Circle Foundation, which is an organisation that, amongst other things, focuses on UK-Turkey relations. We will be talking to him about the situation in Turkey. But before all that, let's hear some music.
Let's go! Tick, 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 tock. Always set your feet, now you got the clock locked. No matter what they say, baby girl, do rock. झूठ मूठ का प्यार सबके सर पे सवार है. रोमियो के पोते हैं, मजनू के रिश्तेदार हैं. झूठ मूठ का प्यार सबके सर पे सवार है. रोमियो के पोते हैं, मजनू के रिश्तेदार हैं. सभी को बांट दे ऐसे है दिल पर साथ हो जैसे इश्क के नाम पे सबने रचाई रासलीला है. मैं करूं तो साला कैरेक्टर ढीला है. मैं करूं तो साला कैरेक्टर ढीला है. ढीला ढीला. That's right. कैरेक्टर ढीला है. इस मोहब्बत की आड़ में सभी है एक जुगाड़ में. बस एक मौके की तार में मारे 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 फिरते हैं. दिखाते खुद को बोध है मगर नीयत से फ्रॉड है. लिए मासूम सी शक्ल सारे 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 फिरते हैं. एक अनार के पीछे सारी जनता बीमार है. That's right. आधे लुट चुके और बाकी बैठे तैयार हैं. उठा के प्यार की कसमें लगे रहते हैं आपस में. इश्क के नाम पे सबने रचाई रासलीला है. मैं करूं तो ढीला ढीला ढीला. कैरेक्टर ढीला है. मैं करूं तो साला कैरेक्टर ढीला है. That's right. कैरेक्टर ढीला है. कैरेक्टर ढीला है.
Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity. Leica, London.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. I hope you enjoyed the music. My special guest on the program today is Dr. Sourav Roy, a scientist, philanthropist, and an inventor. He's the author and chief executive of the Centre for Big Synergy, CBS, a civil society organisation of the UN Department of Social and Economic Affairs. He's had over 15 years management experience within higher education, cutting-edge pharma research and development, and strategic consulting for the third sector. CBS has touched so far 9 million lives in over 120 countries and donated £1 million worth of time and expertise. He studied at King's College London. He discovered promising new molecules that are currently being in development for the treatment of Alzheimer's. He's a published author and senior advisor to Big Pharma, including Pfizer, GSK, Lilly, AstraZeneca, to name but a few. And he has contributed to a number of leading multi-million-dollar projects, both scientific and commercial. And he joins us this morning from Elstree in Hertfordshire. Good morning, Dr. Sourav Roy.
Good morning, Keith.
Now, this is such a huge journey that you've been on, but I suppose it started with your interest in science, where, working at King's College, you've made some very promising discoveries. I'm particularly interested in what you're doing on Alzheimer's. Do you set out as a scientist to find a cure, or does it kind of just happen?
Oh, no, certainly so. My research focused on designing and evaluating the effectiveness of molecules which could halt the progression of Alzheimer's disease. And there are multiple groups around the world who've been trying to find a cure for over the last 4 decades or so, to be precise. So as part of my research, I carried out drug design, synthetic chemistry, physiological studies, as well as cell studies. And my work led to the discovery of molecules which have the potential to halt progression of Alzheimer's disease. Now, they are being currently investigated, as you mentioned. And the reason for all of this leads to, or pretty much comes from the fact that, as you may already know, Alzheimer's disease is the biggest cause of dementia, and it currently does not have any treatment to halt the disease progression, let alone revert the condition. And it's expected over 79 million people will live with dementia in 2030, 139 million by 2050. So these are staggering figures, to be honest. And just in the UK...
The UK figures on dementia, they seem to be growing, is that right?
That's right. It's expected by 2030 there would be 1.5 million Alzheimer's patients in the UK, and that's a huge burden on the health and social care system. And pretty much all of this leads to the importance of the research that anyone's carrying out.
What I find interesting is when you look at world-class research centres like King's College London, it's obviously in the top 10 in the world, and then you look at the way in which the pandemic was dealt with and the speed with which Big Pharma, working with the scientists, have produced an antidote, if you like, not a cure for the pandemic, but an antidote to COVID. Are you glad with what the Prime Minister has done this week? He's reorganised the departments in his government and made sure that science seems to be at the very forefront of what is happening in terms of innovation. It's about time that science took a front seat, don't you think?
I do agree, and it's a step in the right direction. Surely more investment needs to go into developing the scientific brains so that they could further these areas of prime importance like dementia, cancer, so to say, cardiovascular diseases, some of the top killers in the UK. And there's ample talent, there's ample infrastructure. I think it's getting people to find the interest in STEM and further their careers within science and scientific research surely would add value.
Final question in this section really is about funding. One of the things that professors, certainly in Leicester, always talk to me about is the fact that there isn't enough money. Do you think that there is enough money now coming in from the private sector into science, or is it still a struggle?
I think it's still a struggle. Obviously, I have left academia for a good while now, but from the feedback that I receive from friends and colleagues within academia, it's still always a struggle for them to fund their research projects. There are lots of compromises they have to come through to just to keep their labs running, for example. So yes, surely funding is top of the agenda if someone wants to fix this issue.
My very special guest today on Talking Points is Dr. Sourav Roy. We've talked to him in the first part about his scientific background. When we come back after the break, we're going to be talking about CBS, the Centre for Big Synergy, in what must be the greatest challenge facing peoplekind in the world. That is the energy crisis and the need to stick to the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. Join us after the break.
तू जो नैना चिपलाया शराबी रंग लाया
इश्क पर्दों से जैसे अपने गलने लगा है तो आएगा नजर सरेआम हम दोनों के अलावा कोई और नहीं है इश्क पन्नों पे है तेरा मेरा नाम लखवारे चुप ले जाए तू इश्क महका तो नहीं चुप रहा इश्क पर्दों से जैसे अपने गलने लगा है तो आएगा नजर सरेआम
तू जो नैना चुप लाया है शराबी रंग लाया तेरे इश्क च होया मैं मलंग सजना तेरी डोरी हाथों लेके दिल आगे उठते बहके आज उठता है जैसे कि पतंग सजना तू जो नैना चुप लाया है शराबी रंग लाया तेरे इश्क च होया मैं मलंग सजना तेरी डोरी हाथों लेके दिल आगे उठते बहके आज उठता है जैसे कि पतंग सजना तेरे इश्क च होया मैं मलंग सजना
London's biggest station hits like a radio.
Celebrating 9 glorious years of Leica Radio with Cool Cakes Bakery. Cakes for any occasion. Order online at coolcakes.uk or in store across London.
Planning to travel? Cover your trip with Holiday Risk Worldwide Travel Insurance. Our policies cover COVID if you test positive before your trip and need to cancel. 24 hours medical assistance abroad, personal belongings, gadget cover and much more. T's and C's apply. Holiday Risk is regulated by the FCA. We've got you covered. Competitive prices online. Book now at holidayrisk.com. Are you covered?
इस कड़कड़ाती ठंड में एक बढ़िया कड़क गर्मा गर्म चाय मिल जाए तो आए हाय मजा आ जाए।
अरे समझो हो गया, रॉयल चाय है ना अब भी बन जाएगी। सिर्फ पैकेट खोलो और गर्म पानी में घोल लो, चाय तैयार, वो भी रॉयल टेस्ट के साथ। रॉयल चाय, झटपट, कहीं भी कभी भी।
Scalpel, please. Thank you, nurse. Can we just move the light round? There. Perfect.
Meet Dr. Blake, always at the top of her game. Her hands are instruments of utmost precision. She's ice cold when she's in theatre. But even she cracked when pressed into making an investment decision. Investment scams can be hard to spot, and you could be targeted no matter who you are. Protect yourself from scammers. Visit ScamSmart from the Financial Conduct Authority.
Hira Foods, bringing you authentic Eastern flavours with a huge selection of products including spices, grains, lentils, rice, flours, pickles, sauces, nuts and ready-to-eat meals. Hira Foods, king in quality, king in taste.
Did you know if you are an Uber or Bolt driver or drive an Addison Lee, then you need to take the Safety, Equality and Regularity Understanding Assessment called SERU. KSG Learning can help you prepare for the SERU assessment. Course starting at £99. They guarantee a pass result. To know more, visit ksglearning.com or call 07949 292 686. Visit ksglearning.com. KSG Learning can help you prepare for the SERU assessment.
Showcase Entertainment presents Gary Sandhu live in concert. Come and fall in love on the 21st of February from 6 p.m. at the Beck Theatre, Hayes, with Harpinder Gill, DJ Nish and hosted by Kajal from Leica Gold Radio. For tickets, contact becktheatre.org.uk or call Ruby Ahuja on 074 05 908 036. Media partners Kismet TV, radio partners Leica Radio and Leica Gold.
Let's face it, photo IDs are a pain.
3, 2, 1.
But in future elections, you'll need one to vote. A passport, a driving licence, a freedom pass. They'll all do. Or you can apply online for a free voter authority certificate.
That's better.
Visit registertovote.london. Remember, no photo ID, no vote. And no vote, no voice.
जब बात फैमिली पे आए तो डिस्कशन नहीं करते, एक्शन करते हैं।
Shehzada, starring Karthik Aryan, Kriti Sanon, Paresh Rawal, Manisha Koirala, Ronit Roy, Rajpal Yadav and many more.
मुंडा सोना मैं कुड़ी तू करोड़ दी तेरे लिए मैंने पहली वाली छोड़ दी
Shehzadas in theatres on the 17th of February.
तुम जिद्दल परिवार के शहजादे हो असली शहजादे
The personalities that matter with Keith Vaz on Talking Points.
Leica Radio.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. I'm talking to Dr. Sourav Roy, scientist, philanthropist, and indeed chief executive and co-founder of the Centre for Big Synergy, CBS. Dr. Roy, tell us what CBS does. I know it does a lot, but in about a couple of minutes.
So, Centre for Big Synergy was founded in 2018. It's a not-for-profit civil society organization of the United Nations Department of Social and Economic Affairs. And as the name suggests, synergy of ideas, resources, and initiatives was at the heart of the founding ethos of the organization. Now, CBS is a facilitator. So we, as an organization, facilitate initiatives that further one or more of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. CBS also runs its own projects. So these projects and initiatives are wide-ranging, from facilitating neighborhood kitchens for the homeless to educating, say, for example, 1 billion children and their families about ways to combat plastic pollution. So the project is called Microplastic Free 2030. To developing behavioral nudges, for example, so that society can proactively avoid lifestyle-associated risk factors for diseases such as cancer and dementia. And this project is called Stop and See. To the biggest film festival of its kind. And the film festival is called the Big Sin International Film Festival, that will open for its 5th edition later this year. The festival has so far reached 8 million people in over 90 countries and taught them about the UN Global Goals. And we've been very fortunate to be supported by Oscar, BAFTA and Emmy Award winners and leaders from media, sustainability and policy in the UK.
Wonderful. Well, that seems to be an incredible organisation that's doing a huge amount of work. You know, there's a lot of criticism of the UN in so many areas. They feel, those who support the UN, that maybe the UN is not doing its job in peacekeeping and making sure that the world is a safer place. But there is absolutely no doubt that the UN is doing a terrific job as far as sustainable development is concerned. And obviously, CBS is doing its bit in order to ensure that people get to those goals, the 2030 agenda. But for our Leica listeners today, on a more practical level, what can we do as individuals, Dr. Roy, to try and achieve these goals? Because sometimes you look at these summits and, you know, there's these great leaders are there telling us what to do, and then they go off, usually in their aeroplanes, and don't really help the environment. Tell us what you think we can do. Leica listeners, what can we do individually today, Sunday, in order to make sure that we help?
Excellent question, Keith. And I'm asked this quite a lot by both friends and family and others as well. So I think it's very, very simple, and it's probably more simpler than we think it is. It starts from choosing the first thing that we do in the morning to the last thing that we do before we go to bed. So starts from choosing what kind of toothbrush we use, for example. Is it made of plastic? Is it a bamboo or a wooden one? Does it have plastic bristles or a different kind of material which is biodegradable? Do we spend any time thinking about it? If we are very busy, we probably won't, but I hope some of the listeners probably might take a note of this and start thinking about it. To the toothpaste that we use, is it a chewable one which comes in a glass bottle, or do we have one which comes in a tube and we don't even know if the tube is going to be burnt by the council or will it be recycled? So these are the sort of things that I'm talking about, that if we start thinking about, the solutions are all out there. And to facilitate all of this, the United Nations have come up with 170 very simple actions that you and I can do. That's available on their website. It's also on our website, which is www.thebigsynergy.org. Anyone can download those and start using those. And, you know, these are just very basic things.
Maybe the problem isn't the willingness of people to do this. Maybe it's the inability of the private sector and government to make sure that on the packaging, it's very clear whether something can be disposed of. I still go into shops, even in Canary Wharf, as I did this morning, and I ask for items and they offer me a plastic bag. So if it's not reached the retailers How can the public, what can the public do about it? Tesco's just around the corner. They give you plastic bags. They don't give you paper bags. Is it a failure of legislators or is it a failure of the private sector?
I think it's our communal failure, to be very honest, because at the end of the day, people in the government, people in the private sector are us. They're not anyone else. They don't have a different society altogether. Someone or the other, you and I know, work in those private sectors or work in the government. It's a matter of us, again, going and influencing them, making them understand the importance of this is what truly matters. But you're absolutely right. It has to be a top-down effort as well as bottom-up. And that is where we come in to facilitate both the processes. So working with governments, we try and policy if that's something that makes sense, while we also work with community, the society in general, so that they could come up with their own efforts to change these sort of things.
Dr. Suraj Roy, scientist, philanthropist, inventor, it's been fascinating talking to you about the biggest issue that is facing the globe, which is energy sustainability, how we're going to hand over this amazing sphere to the next generation. And I suppose what's happened in Turkey reminds us of how precious life is. We always ask our special guests to choose a song that means something special to them and to dedicate it to someone special. Which song would you like to choose, Dr. Roy, and to whom would you like to dedicate it to?
Thank you, Keith, for offering that. It's one of my favorite songs from Kishore Kumar. It's called Rukh Jana Nahi, Tu Kahin Haar Ke. I would want to dedicate this song to all the individuals, organizations, groups and associations who are striving for a more sustainable planet, because there's a lot of challenges that they are facing, we are all facing, and we are still at it, going strong. And this song is just to boost their morale and encourage them to carry on the good work that they're doing.
Dr. Suraj Roy, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great Sunday.
Thank you very much, Keith, for having me on the program today, and best wishes to all the listeners of Leica Radio.
Let's hear Dr. Suraj Roy's song.
जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के ओ राही 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 कभी ऐसे कोई मस्ताना निकले है अपनी धुन में दीवाना शाम सुहानी बन जाते हैं दिन इंतजार के ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही ओ राही रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के ओ राही
Stamp checks are brought to you by TravelUp.com. Our lowest prices are guaranteed only when you book directly through TravelUp.com or call 0207 580 5000. Keith Vaz on Talking Points. Leica.
Leica Radio.
Traffic and travel.
I'm Andy Hilbert. Clockwise on the M25, there's one lane closed at the minute due to an accident. 24 for Potters Bar to 25 at Enfield. The Blackwall Tunnel southbound closed for these emergency electrical repairs between Popular and Greenwich there. And also to in Soho, Regent Street northbound is closed due to emergency burst water mains work repairs around Beak Street. Currently as well in Stratford, Romford Road, the lights aren't working following an earlier accident around Vernon Road. Also at Earls Court, Cromwell Road, the A4, a lane closed eastbound there for the emergency water mains work repairs around Ashburn Gardens. And at Thornton Heath, Melfort Road is closed due to an accident, Sandfield Road to Brook Road. And in Hackney, Rothbury Road remains closed for this police incident near to White Post Lane. Europe Today.
On hold to your bank. That lovely music. Waiting for a friend who's late.
Oh, where is he?
Waiting. Who needs it? With SEAT, you don't have to. Selected SEAT SUVs are in stock and available now. And you get up to £750 off straight away. How's that? Live bolder. Live better. SEAT SUVs.
Purchase before 31st of March. £500 discount on Seat Arona and £750 discount on Seat Ateca. New vehicle stock only. Subject to availability. T's and C's apply.
This is Leica Radio. Celebrating 9 glorious years of Leica Radio. With Cool Cakes Bakery. Cakes for any occasion. Order online at coolcakes.uk or in store across London.
सस्ती से सस्ती फ्लाइट्स और हॉलिडे पैकेज चाहिए तो 24 घंटे 7 दिन किसी भी समय ट्रैवल हब का नंबर मिलाइए फॉर क्रूज टेलर मेड हॉलिडे होटल बुकिंग्स एंड हनीमून पैकेजेस हमसे सस्ता कहीं नहीं मिल सकता कॉल ट्रैवल हब 24/7 on 0208-782-8833 or visit travelhubltd.co.uk.
Travel Hub, best service with unbeatable price.
At all protected.
Visit travelhubltd.co.uk.
Haldiram brings you the most loved Indian sweets which are freshly made in UK. Now order your favorite Haldiram products online only on haldiramuk.com. Also available at your local Asian store at super special prices.
नमस्ते, मैं डॉक्टर सूद हूँ। अगर आपको लगे कि आपके शरीर में कोई गड़बड़ी है, तो हमसे बात कीजिए। हो सकता है कैंसर होने का डर आपके दिमाग में हो, पर कैंसर की जांच के अधिकांश नतीजे कैंसर नहीं निकलते। जल्दी पता करना हमेशा बेहतर होता है। नतीजा जो भी हो, आपका NHS आपके लिए है। अपने GP प्रैक्टिस से संपर्क कीजिए।
Time to invest in your child's future is now. At KSG Learning, we offer high-quality tuition services from reception to GCSE, both online and offline medium, delivered by certified teachers. Log on to www.ksglearning.com
or call 07949 292 686.
The one thing COVID did give us, digital transformation. If you're serious about digital growth and would like a tactical approach to your digital marketing, then remember the name Harty Hanks. With over 20 years experience and a proven track record, we have the talent and know-how to deliver online success. Harty Hanks, experts in consultancy, branding, design, e-commerce, search and social. Call Harty Hanks today on 020 8827 1600 or visit hhdigital.uk. Harty Hanks, your partners for digital success.
Oh my goodness! The Kapoors are back in another smash hit theatre production with Mrs. Kapoor's Daughter's Wedding 2, Mauritius. It's overflowing with comedy, singing, dancing and all. It's the must-attend show of the year. Touring the UK to London, Manchester, Leicester, Bradford and Birmingham. Don't miss out. Book your tickets now at mkdw.co.uk.
लोटे चोखा पापड़ी नी मसाला राम्स कैश एंड कैरी नीचे एजवेर मां बोल बाला
Ram's Cash and Carry Edgeware
for retail and wholesale groceries,
all type of flours,
spices,
beans,
lentils,
pulses,
fresh and frozen vegetables
and much more.
ramscashandcarry.co.uk.
Mollison Way, Edgeware.
Ram's Cash and Carry ni Edgeware ma bol bala.
Hello and namaskar. मैं हूँ बाली ब्रह्मभट्ट with my show Gold Afternoons, Monday to Friday, 1 to 4 p.m. full of retro Bollywood music, masti and tributes. तो प्रेम छे, प्रेम छे, प्रेम छे, प्रेम छे.
Bali Brahmbat on Gold Afternoons is sponsored by Elliot's Shah Chartered Accountants. Call Elliot's Shah Chartered Accountants on 0207 632 0300. Talking Points with Keith Vaz, celebrating diversity. Leica, London.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. Let's go back to the situation in Turkey and Syria that we've just heard about on the news at 9 o'clock. The death toll has reached 5 figures. Tens of thousands of people have died. Turkish President Erdogan visited this week and said that about 63,000 people had been injured and 6,400 buildings had been destroyed. These are all estimates, and as the hours go on, obviously the figure gets bigger and bigger in terms of numbers. My next guest on the program is Enes Güzel, the president of the Circle Foundation, which is our very highly respected, not-for-profit, independent, non-partisan think tank based in London and dedicated to innovative studies on national, region and international issues. It's got a particular focus on UK-Turkish relations because, of course, its president is Turkish. Let's go over to Bloomsbury to talk to him and join Enes Güzel to tell us more about the current situation. Good morning, Enes Güzel. Can I start by giving my deep condolences and those of the listeners of Leica Radio to the people of Turkey, and our prayers and thoughts are with you at this time.
Good morning, Keith. Thank you very much for your kind words.
How is Turkey coping with the aftermath of the earthquake?
Yes, let me first start expressing my thoughts and sympathy for those who lost their lives to the devastating earthquake in Turkey as well as in Syria. I'm also deeply saddened by the loss of life. The devastating earthquake in Turkey is actually one of the deadliest the country has seen in last century. 10 cities were hit, more than 14,000 people died, more than 63,000, and so many people lost their houses and properties as a result of the disaster. And more than 6,000 buildings actually were destroyed, which left people without houses. Now, as a result of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, had powerful aftershocks and which caused very big humanitarian crisis. We are talking about thousands of displaced families here, and they all sought shelter in a sports center that has been turned into an aid distribution point. And we are also thankful for dozens of countries who have sent aid and rescue teams to the region to rescue the people.
There have been criticisms about President Erdogan by certain Turkish leaders. They said he had not responded fast enough. Do you think that this is a fair criticism, or do you think that everyone is doing their best given the extraordinary circumstances that we are finding ourselves in Turkey and Syria today?
Exactly. But the critics and the opposition parties in Turkey has, as you said, claimed the emergency response was too slow and the government was not well prepared. To respond to that, President Erdogan visited actually himself, especially the hardest hit city, which is Hatay province, where more than 4,000 people died. Entire neighbors were destroyed, and residents also there have criticized the efforts, saying that the rescuers were too slow to arrive there. And in response, the President Erdogan has said that it was impossible to prepare for the scale of the disaster. He also accepted the government had encountered some problems, that's right, but he said that it is becoming under control right now. And he also said that the unity was the essential, what was the needed to actually, in the aftermath of the disaster, to more effectively respond to the disaster. So I think here we can understand this point of view where, there could have been much better response. But at the same time, we have to understand that we are talking about massive disaster that the country has in the last century, and the magnitude of the earthquake was 7.5 and 7.9 in 9 hours apart.
You told me earlier that you had a very close friend of yours who recently informed you that his family had perished in the earthquake. Are there many who are living in London that have relatives in Turkey who have faced similar personal catastrophes?
Exactly. My friend called me this morning, and he gave me that unfortunate news that he has lost his father and sister in the earthquake. And actually, unfortunately, the Turkish community in London is majority of the Turkish community in the UK is actually from that region where the earthquake is hit, and many of them have their relatives and close friends living in that area. And I was 3 days. I was also personally involved in collecting donations,
and goods from the Turkish community in the UK to send there. They are all sad, and most of them have lost very close friends and relatives in the disaster, unfortunately.
This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. I'm in conversation with Enes Güzel, the president of the Circle Foundation, someone who is at the very heart of relations between the United Kingdom and Turkey. We're talking, of course, about the earthquake, which is dominating our news here in Britain and all over the world. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be finding out ways in which we, as Leica listeners, can support the Turkish appeal. Join us after the break.
एहसास दिल के रिश्ते का रिश्ता ये अपना रब की रुबाई मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना धागों से बांधा एहसास तुमसे मिलने का मिलना ये अपना रब की रुबाई मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना खुशियों का तू सामान है तू साथ है तो यूं लगे जीना बड़ा आसान है बातों से बांधा हर तार अपने रिश्ते का रिश्ता ये अपना रब की रुबाई मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना चार दिशाओं जैसी तुम हो मेरे लिए जरूरी तुम ना हो तो हर दिन आधा हर एक शाम अधूरी आधा मुझे रहना नहीं कुछ कम लगे वो घर मुझे जिसमें कोई बहना नहीं यादों से बांधा जज्बा ये अपने रिश्ते का रिश्ता ये अपना रब की रुबाई मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना मैं रहूं ना मैं तेरे बिना तू रहे ना तू मेरे बिना
celebrating 9 glorious years of Leica Radio with Cool Cakes Bakery. Cakes for any occasion. Order online at coolcakes.uk or in store across London.
Punjab National Bank International Limited launches mobile app for personal customers. Whether you want to send money to India or view your latest balance, do that on the go. Simply download our app for free from your mobile app store. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, please visit
www.pnbint.com. Deposit protection from FSCS. Authorised by the PRA and regulated by FCA and PRA.
MantraHolidays.co.uk presents 2023 Travel Destination Catalogue. UK day trips from £30 per person. Destinations include Isle of Wight, Bournemouth, Durdledore, among others, with private coach hire available. Call 020 3773 6333. That's 020 3773 6333. MantraHolidays.co.uk.
Time to invest in your child's future is now. At KSG Learning, we offer high-quality tuition services from reception to GCSE, both online and offline medium, delivered by certified teachers. Log on to www.ksglearning.com
Or call 07949 292 686.
Hira Foods, bringing you authentic Eastern flavors with a huge selection of products including spices, grains, lentils, rice, flours, pickles, sauces, nuts, and ready-to-eat meals. Hira Foods, king in quality, king in taste.
This is a 30-second ad. That's not long, but it's long enough to do something that could save you money on your energy bills. In 30 seconds, you can turn your boiler flow temperature down to 60 degrees, or switch off unused appliances, turn a radiator down in a room you're not using, or dial down the temperature on your washing machine. Each one you do will be 30 seconds well spent. They all add up and could save you hundreds of pounds. Visit gov.uk/save energy for more energy saving ideas.
Flight tours to your dream destinations. To visit Spain, Switzerland, Italy, Eastern Europe, Iceland or Scandinavia, call Star Tours. All tours include flights, Indian meals, hotels and sightseeing. Call Star Tours on 0208 900 2323 or visit startours.co.uk. Schengen visa services also provided.
Star Tours.
Come once and you'll come again and again.
Himalaya Carpets always gives that little extra. This week only, an extra 10% off on all marked prices and up to an extra 40% off all room size remnants. This extra double discount will last only until Sunday 4 p.m. Branches at Southall, Slough and Hounslow or visit HimalayaCarpets.com.
Himalayan Carpets for low prices. Himalayan Carpets.
अरे दीवानों गए दौर का, नए दौर का और हर दौर का संगीत लेकर आ रहे हैं लेजेंडरी संगीतकार कल्याण जी आनंद जी की जोड़ी के आनंद जी वीर जी शाह। साथ में आएंगे नितिन मुकेश, साधना सरगम, सपना मुखर्जी, वैभव नयन। म्यूजिशियंस की पूरी टीम के साथ कलाकारों का मेला। ट्विंकल एंटरटेनमेंट की सुरीली पेशकश संडे 16 अप्रैल को द ओवो वेम्बली अरीना में। टिकट्स फ्रॉम बॉक्स ऑफिस एंड वीडियोरामा। फॉर फर्दर इंफॉर्मेशन कॉन्टैक्ट ट्विंकल एंटरटेनमेंट ऑन 07401 747 062.
The personalities that matter with Keith Vaz on Talking Points.
Leica Radio.
Keith Vaz on Talking Points. Leica.
Welcome back. This is Keith Vaz on Talking Points on Leica Radio. We will be hearing more about the current situation in Turkey when we listen to the 10 o'clock news which follows this program. In the meantime, I'm talking to Enes Güzel, the president of the Circle Foundation and co-founder of My Life My Say, a youth organisation in London for all the communities. Enes Güzel, some of us feel so helpless because we see what's going on there, and we see a country like Turkey, which was ready to take its place as one of the leading countries in the world. Why did you establish the Circle Foundation?
Thank you very much, Keith. The reason that we established the Circle Foundation, because the Circle Foundation aims to support the Turkish-speaking community in the UK for better engagement and participation in the policy-making process through close partnership with the government institutions as well as political and civil society organizations. As you are also, there is a very big Turkish community living in the UK, and they are very well integrated into the British society, and they establish their businesses, and you will see, in every high street, the kebab shops, the Turkish restaurants, and they are very well connected and very well interconnected with society. And we have realized the potential and the importance of the Turkish community being able to more politically active in the UK's policy making and decision-making process. We established the organization to strengthen the social and political activities of the Turkish community in the UK.
Obviously, your work is beyond Turkey, but you're of Turkish origin, and obviously there's a great deal of interest in what's happening in UK-Turkish relations. Where is Turkey in the world? Turkey is on the front pages of our newspapers and on television because of the earthquake that happened on Monday. But it's a very strategic country in the whole of Europe. It sits literally between the East and West. It's the gateway to Asia, and for Asia, it's their gateway into the European Union. Is there something that the Turkish people want to do? What is their ambitions? Where is Turkey going to be in the future?
Definitely, because we are talking about a growing population, a growing economy. Turkey is a G20 member. Turkey is a very important NATO member, which is very critical for the security of Europe. Turkey is the second largest army in the NATO. At the moment, as you know, that the Russian-Ukrainian war, Turkey is playing a very pivotal, important role in mediating between Russia and Ukraine, because there is no other European country at the moment can both speak with Putin and President Zelensky. Turkey has been playing a very important role in mediating the peace process between these two countries. Therefore, the of Turkey to the UK and to Europe is enormous.
Final question, Enes. There are 500,000 people of Turkish origin living in the United Kingdom. 90% are in North London. So we're returning to ask you about the situation in Turkey. When these kinds of crises occur, there are all sorts of organizations that get involved and ask for money to be donated. I know that you and I have both had a number of appeals for support. In Leicester, we have a big Turkish community there. What's the best way for the Leica listeners who are listening this morning to help their brothers and sisters in Turkey?
Well, there are actually many charities and organizations that help to the disaster, but there are actually three main organizations that I can give the names to your listeners. So one of them is the British Red Cross has launched appeals for both Turkey and in Syria. So our listeners can donate via the British Red Cross website. And the second one is the Turkish Red Cross, and which is the equivalent of British Red Cross in Turkey. They also have launched a crisis response operation and mobilized teams across the country. And so your listeners can also send their help via their website. And the third, alternatively, they also can send donations to AFAD, which is the Disaster Emergency Management Organizations of Turkey, which is an official agency that coordinates disaster response. So your listeners can also contact them via their website and make their
Enes Güzel, President of the Circle Foundation, first of all, thank you for the incredible work that you're doing with the Circle. It has become a hugely respected organisation, not just in London, but also in Washington and the other capital cities in the world. You're doing a great job, but also thank you today in particular for being a witness for us for what is happening in Turkey. Please pass on our thoughts and prayers to all those in the Turkish community and tell them that we are with them at this time of crisis, not just in London and Leicester, but in the whole of the United Kingdom. We are there for them. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you very much, Keith, for having me on the program today. And best wishes to all listeners of Leica Radio.
पल रुका ख्वाबों का कारवां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
दो पल की थी ये दिलों की दास्तां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ के थी कोई उजली किरण तुम थे या कोई कली मुस्काई थी
तुम थे या सपनों का था सावन
के था कोई फूल खिला
तुम थे या मिला था मुझे नया जहां
दो पल रुका ख्वाबों का कारवां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
दो पल की थी ये दिलों की दास्तां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ खुशबू हवाओं में थी तुम थे या रंग सारी दिशाओं में थे
तुम थे या रोशनी राहों में थी तुम थे या गीत गूंजे फिजाओं में थे
तुम थे मिले या मिली थी मंजिलें
तुम थे कि था जादू भरा कोई समा
दो पल रुका ख्वाबों का कारवां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
दो पल की थी ये दिलों की दास्तां और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
और फिर चल दिए तुम कहाँ हम कहाँ
Time's up for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's program. My thanks to Dr. Sourav Roy and NS Guzal for joining us today. Special thanks to my researcher Shridula, my producer Reena, and editor Adam. To end today's program, we'll be listening to one of my favorites, Oh Saki Saki, from the movie Buckley House, which has already been viewed 604 million times on YouTube. Our thoughts and prayers remain with the people who are suffering in Turkey and Syria. Please stay tuned not just to hear an update on the news at 10, but also after the news at 10, you can hear the wonderful Sheena, who follows me on Britain's greatest Asian radio station. This has been Talking Points on Leica Radio with Keith Vaz, broadcasting from London. I hope you have a great Sunday.
तेरी आँखों का साहिल मैं तेरे दिल के ही काबिल तू मुसाफिर मैं तेरी